Heute habt ihr alle gut gegessen, schnell noch einen Kaffee, James. Ich nicht? Ich hoffe, ihr schön. Ich dachte Ihnen ganz besonders hier on stage begrüßen and we're gonna switch the language again as our resource. Hide with mixed experiences as key to create human-centered future Ricardo Juan and dos Santos. Ricardo is not only a friend, a dear, also colleague who even thanks to you working on one of our projects together, the consultancy area. He has a super value, which is he's an expert in digital and cultural transformation, specializing in the impact on generations, markers, and the world of work. With a strong background in collective intelligence design, Ricardo class those fans. Everything around business transformation is a unique ability to analyze evolving needs, helping his clients to thrive. As a founder and co-CEO next to Jutta from Angels Santos, Ricardo advises companies on how to effectively design and implement transformation, combining deep experience with hands-on experience. He brings fresh inspiration on digital transformation to Germany. Well, live out on stage, Ricardo!
Hi, everyone. So I hope you enjoyed your lunchtime. How's the energy? Well, let's stand up. Let's stand up. First of all, second, all of you, please stand up. Let's try a little exercise. Ready? I say futuro, you say futuro, futuro, all together. Futuro, walker. Hey. So thank you very much. Honestly, I love lottery. I love anything that has to do with mathematics, with physics. That are really things that I love about story. But I'm also someone who hates memorizing structures, as you can see here with my nose. You know, anything that has to do with historic dates, periodic substance. This is nothing that I really like. And I was also impressed to overcome this food. I was one of these people who was putting his textbook under his pillows. Remember that, Marcellus? Textbook under pillows, people here? Yeah, good. And you know, this kind of, you hope that there's this kind of magic overnight that will transfer all the content from your books into your brain, and the next day everything is so clear that you will be able to write the exam. It didn't work at that time. I've got quite close to achieve this vision today. Just imagine that we don't have just an AI for the ChatGPT, whatever kind of tool on a desktop or on a smartphone. But what you have is a perfect combination of machine precision and your human intuition. And this is then really the kind of power couple that you need today to create some of the bravest and greatest ideas coming true. And by doing so, you create this power couple instead of having a war of roses with your technology, you know? And I want to share with you how today the thought, how you can use this power couple, perhaps to, let's say, create a nice SpaceX, every one of you here in the room. But I'm a good sort of love. Okay? So, to start with this power couple, the first accelerator I would like to share with you is collective intelligence. And some of you, or all of you, know this painting. Who doesn't know this painting? The painting from Raphael, the Sistine Chapel. You might have seen this while the Hugo was selected in the background. And I fell in love with this picture when I was a kid. Not because I was such a historic fan, or I was also not so into the songs, but there was Isabel, was my sister's bestie, 6 years older. So the love did work out, but shifting the curtains away, I looked at this painting again, and what I saw was a modern place of knowledge and a good replacement for my Miller exercise. So instead of putting the textbook under my pillow, I thought of how full would it be just to access all this knowledge, all these people, this whole marketplace, with any kind of question that I had with my homework. Did they do my homework for me? But this image culture captures something more important. And this morning we also Dominic talking about how his book is to change perspectives, not to stay in the same thinking patterns every day. And by the way, we think 90% of the time, each day the same. We have thought yesterday, that we will think tomorrow. And to really and truly drive innovation, create new ideas, need to overcome this pattern. And how do you do this best? Is creating diversity. And when Raphael was asked by the Pope to create this painting with the wisdom of humanity, he says the Pope, well, it's not just the Roman philosophers and mathematicians and physics that meet theory, of course, also the Greeks. And surprisingly, I don't know if you knew that there are two Muslims in this picture, Averroes and Zoroaster. And this is what diversity, collective intelligence is really about. This embracing human wisdom and knowledge, may it be in knowledge or in crafts, in skills, in experience, that represents then really true diversity and access to diversity. And it is collective intelligence design here. And you can also say it's a kind of original crowdsourcing algorithm that he created for us with this painting. Building knowledge to companies. Why is it so important for companies? The truth is, if you're working in a corporate organization, are powerful people here working? I'm involved? Yeah, few corporate people in the room. So you might know this number, but 70% of transformation and innovation projects that corporates do today fail. They didn't work out. 70% of the time they went into this just doesn't work. And what's also interesting, if you look at the last 15 years, in the situation when facing exponential tools, exponential digital tools, what most corporates tend to do is just to stay in shock. Or they're adding more complexity to the talking. And how do they do this? 15 years ago, everyone was doing this cobra to Silicon Valley, hoping to find there the magic bullet, the holy grail of transformation. They finally were giving me the idea to bring it back home, and they're having my core business things, building resilience, everyone would be happy, the stakeholders will be happy, and it didn't work out. And about 20 years ago, it was somehow on go to build the next incubator, the next accelerator, and it was super on go to have your whole company innovation lab in Berlin. And guess what? We stayed with the 70%. What really worked out, we did a research by the beginning of this year with the International University, is to focus on collective intelligence with your projects. And by doing so, and probably not was used this before, by using very basic forms like interdisciplinary teams or by formalizing cross-functional teams, you just increase your chance to be successful by 3 times. And that's a message, I would say. The only thing is that the School of Athens really changed today. It's not like the times that we were facing 500, 400 years ago. If you look at knowledge today, you can't capture it in the marketplace, and you can't capture it in the library. Do you guys remember the Brockhaus? Brockhaus? Yes? Where the Brockhaus at home? Oh, there are some avant-garde people here with us. So at Brockhaus, you might remember 30 volumes, right? 30 volumes for us of books capturing the full wisdom of humanity. And but it might have trans 50 years ago. It would cost you a lot, but it would also capture this wisdom on 1.7 meters of your shelf. So 20 years ago, if you were trying to capture, let's say, Wikipedia in shelf volumes or in shelf on these volumes in Workhorse, you would have created a shelf which is 420 liters long. And you guess what? So looking at the volumes that you want these to create the training data for ChatGPT 4.0, one of the most recent models by OpenAI, this shelf would be 728 kilometers. That's the distance from here to the very north of Germany, even behind Hamburg, I would say. So if we today would encourage Raphael, who could be still here, we would ask to repaint his famous image, he probably would have added an AI to it, like Deep Thought, the ultimate AI thinker from the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Universe, or to the Galaxy. And he would have convinced us that we need to understand how to make best use of humans, collective intelligence, and artificial intelligence. And that's what we are trying to achieve here. And better understand how to find the right path to this combination is by looking at the value of work. Who of you is afraid, for example, that he or she might lose her job to artificial intelligence over the next 5 years? No one? Are you sure? Two people? Only two people. Well, the World Economic Forum says that it will create about 180 million jobs in the next 5 years, or 4.5 years. But we'll also use about 8 million jobs. And one paradox will be see, there will be definitely jobs which are purely just selecting and analyzing data. So knowledge is something AI can do much better than us. It outperforms us really on all aspects here. And then there are crafts. Crafts is still something you see, it's gray and red against the mix of AI and humans. Crafts is still something where you find some crafts, like accounting, like legal stuff, also tech stuff, but more also medicine jobs that needs to be done, and more also creative jobs that need to be done where AI is better than us. But there's still some hands-on traits and hands-on traits like personal care. And I'm training my nursery dog, our next one. But there are some jobs that we can still outperform an AI here. Even though then you heard from Patrick this morning that there might be some robots overtaking us in that year too very soon. And then there's experience. Experience, for example, still areas where we are better than AI. For example, AI is good with patterns, but we are better in deciding which of these patterns make most sense in the context that we want to use them. And of course, then driving clarity, like the what, the why, where, when, what to do things. This is the domain of humans, and of course also the human intuition, which won't be replaced by artificial intelligence. I would even say the next decades to come. So if you think of the value of work, this lays the path to human-machine exponential. A human-machine exponential is split into three phases or three pillars here. We see there, for example, the impulse space. Impulse space is all about analyze the current situation of pulse, energize the teams. We have then power phase, where it's all about building capabilities, but also transferring new skills into an organization. And we have also then the anchoring phase, where this is about solidifying everything that you had learned before, and also the new tools into an organization. And this is the kind of the disruptive approaches we need if we want to make best use of human-machine exponential. And it also follows a little bit, per some of you have studied Claude Lemon's organizational model, how to transform an organization. It's about unfreezing, changing, then refreezing again an organization. So these are the three paths that we follow here. The first phase, diving a little bit deeper into it, is the impulse phase. And the impulse phase, some of you might know, be surprised to see in the analyze space a tea ceremony and a train in the background. But the impulse phase is about building acceptance and awareness for a change that needs to be done. And here it is not enough that we just analyze what kind of drivers and barriers we are facing with a certain change or transformation or innovation project. It's also very important to reflect on the cultural elements, to reflect on the change we are going to build, to take the teams who are affected by this change with us. And to give you an example, we have done a project, for example, for the Deutsche Bahn, for the Fernverkehr, for the train drivers again. And what we have done is not just a child data will be automation, will use a drum in about 15 to 30 years. But what we also told them is, let's look at the principles, what makes others so successful today when it comes to train transportation. So to open these teams, to energize these teams, to change their behaviors and be also a little bit for all using technology. And this is what we have done here. We have, for example, reviewed how the Shinkansen works. We have focused on the behaviors and also the goals that the people had there. And we shared this within train drivers at the Deutsche Bahn to build this acceptance and awareness for the change. And in our research, for example, the best-in-class companies we use this kind of process, they did their inventory assessment and their needs assessments with the help of AI, and they didn't just focus on analyze the data, they also analyzed the culture in the companies, also with the help of AI, with the help of speech analysis, with the help of sentiment analysis. And this really can deliver this kind of clarity that we want to have. What do we need to do in the development process to transfer or to build really these new capabilities and skills and also the right ideas for the challenges that we are facing. And also interestingly, the companies who have used a similar or this kind of similar approach in our research, then were able to increase their success chance to 100% on the projects. So that's the first phase, but it does not end here. The second one is the empower phase. And as you can see, this phase is really about bringing then diversity around the table. That you have a diversity, yes, in terms of age, in terms of cultural backgrounds, also in terms of sex, but also that you have a diversity in terms of experiences that you bring around the table. To come back to our example with the train drivers, we had real train drivers in the room working on job profiles, for example, with having award winners and people who designed the Game of Thrones dragons to talk about how will a future job look like and how will the future approach look like. And yes, of course, it's not a 100% certain idea that you get out of this one workshop with them, but you get a kind of the openness and you can agree on certain principles that really help you then to drive new skills and also to drive the right ideas for the change. And when you're doing this and when you want also to bring in the humanist in these projects, then it's very important to also follow Kahneman's prerequisites for building human intuition. And these require a kind of stable rules, but also immediate feedback loops after your decision. And to do so, for example, we have in 3 C-Dry and 3PO in the background, who is there to immediately analyze anything that is happening also in this process, to give us the feedback if the ideas that we created are really helpful or not, who do also with us then the kind of simulations that we need to do. And again, in our research, we saw that companies who are doing this, companies who are using then this kind of artificial intelligence in the room to simulate, they increase their speed to come up with the right solutions by 2.5%. What they also have done is they were able to increase also the amount of ideas, of breakthrough ideas by 30% if they were using this kind of approach. And again, interestingly, the companies who have used a similar approach, they were able to increase their chance to succeed with the project to 100%. The next phase is the core phase. Sorry, the anchor phase. I was a little bit confused. 4 minutes left. The anchor phase. In the anchor phase, when you have created your skills, you have created your idea, and you are bringing this back into your everyday lives at the company, this sometimes can feel like the ties with the colleagues, with the traditions, with the processes that are already established when you want to do something new. And here it's really important that you go then at one hand side again, like collective response on the day one. I think are also able to get a kind of a permanent update in the organization that allows ongoing learning loops with the organization. And to do this best, what companies are doing here is using AI chatbots, for example, to give the people a chance whenever they are facing obstacles to get into conversation with the transmitter bots, but also to use AI to sentiment analysis when they are, for example, analyzing and culture in the company, if it is changing or not changing, what needs to be done to improve this implementation. And what we also saw is if you are using AI in this learning phase, then when you are bringing this back to your company, you are able to increase the return on investment on your learning and development cost by 280%. It's a little, as I said, like the permanent update. And of course, what we also checked is were the companies were using the kind of predictive intelligence and artificial intelligence models, so human machine exponential, and there were companies, and this decreased their chance to succeed versus the filter market by 5 times, which I would say is massive if you stated 30% of the transformation projects today fail. And there were also other achievements, like they were able to increase the productivity of their teams by 55%, and they also increased the creativity of the ideas by 30%. So there's a lot of evidence that this mix is really powerful. And then also underscores how important it is to use this power, the perfect mix of humans and machines are every 3 of us. So when you are back at the desk next week on Monday, and when you are back at work, I really hope that you will remember this useful of Athens, this combination of deep thought with all the great thinkers of the past. And I hope you won't put your laptop now under your pillow, because that didn't work with me. So I hope that you get the chance to make the best use of this combination, that you really bring to life AI, when it's about data and knowledge, that you use more AI for your crafts, to find this kind of perfect mix in the experience by including the AI, also collective intelligence and human intelligence into your decision making. But especially avoid adding complexity to your challenges and gain more clarity, and that you especially cultivate a culture of intuition in your organizations. And by doing so, and we have at least evidence with numbers, you will be able to really achieve probably some of the biggest dreams that you have, that we have, to achieve your goals, and also bring, some change for good into this world. With this, we'd love to stay in touch with you, and we will also share the entire research next week in our virtual session. If you like to join, just connect with me and you will get an invite. So thank you very much.
Because Havana, you know, let me see, so you got kind of levels up there, you remember, blah, blah.